Mary, just to let you know, we are recording and live streaming already.
I see that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, Bob.
Are you? Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. We're already live and live streaming, so and recording. So
Okay. All right.
so have you been to your Europe trip?
Excuse me, say again.
Have you been on your Europe trip, or is that after this meeting?
Europe trip?
Yeah, were you going to England or something?
No.
Oh, oh, okay.
No.
I thought you had some before or after the
Well,
thunder. Yeah.
we actually we go down to my wife's family lives in Minnesota.
Oh,
So we go down there to Minnesota for American Thanksgiving. And it
oh,
always falls on our meeting always falls on Thanksgiving Day.
oh. Oh, so
So
that's what the conflict was.
yeah.
Okay. 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 Hi, Kyra and Inspector Kreitz and Darlene. We're already recording and live streaming. So we're missing Counselor Miller.
All right, okay. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. And our new recording secretary is shown as the council chambers. So that's Mireille Poirier. There she is.
Hello. Hi,
Mireille.
everyone. Nice to meet you.
She says call her Millie. So there's Counselor Miller. And just to let everybody know, we are recording already and live streaming, right?
Okay.
Already.
And I see that the clock has ticked 2 p.m. Central Time. And I believe everyone who we're expecting is here. Madam Chair, I'll turn things over to you to call the meeting to order.
Okay, thank you. My clock is behind. I was looking at it on the wall, 2 minutes. Okay. It's not a electronic. Okay, so I'm Chair Darlene Ajkaneb, and I'll call this meeting to order. It's 2 p.m. on December 11th, 2025. This is the Sioux OPP Detachment Board meeting. So welcome everybody. And I'd like to also comment about the live streaming that this is to advise everybody the meeting is being live streamed and video recorded. The opinions of individuals representing a delegation presentation are their own, and the board is not responsible for delegates' presenters' comments or any materials delegates choose to provide. The link to the live stream is posted on the agenda so that the public can view the live proceedings, which is also a link to the video recording. Whenever possible, the board will advise all delegates, presenters in advance of the meeting that the meeting and their presentation will be live streamed and video recorded, and the recording posted for public viewing. So everybody should be aware of that. And okay, so that's 1A and 1B, the attendance motions to excuse, if any. I am not sure who would be, who's not at the meeting here is, I think there was one, wasn't there? No,
Everybody's here.
everybody's here. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Right, everybody, yeah, okay. 1C, and we'll note the change in the board staff. Mariel Poirier is the new board recording secretary. So we saw her earlier in the council chambers. There she is, yeah. Number 2, land
Oh,
acknowledgement.
sorry, excuse me,
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I don't know why I forgot this on the agenda. Maybe we introduced Kyra last time, but Kyra Marshall
Okay, sorry.
is, yeah, sorry, no, I apologize. She's our new Sioux Lookout community representative. This is her first meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so she's our new rep from Sioux. Welcome.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on to number 2. The chair, we are on the traditional territory of the Black Sioux First Nation within the areas of Treaty 3 and Treaty 9. And in addition, many of the people and communities we serve are also in Treaty 5 and the Anishinaabe Nation. And that's it for the land acknowledgement. Number 3, the approval of the agenda. 3A, introduction of amendments to the agenda. And I don't think we have to do anything there. 3B, motion to approve the agenda as presented, amended. Any movers?
I'll move.
Ira and John, I guess will second. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to see who raised their hands first. Okay. So 3A, 3B, everybody, all in favor, carried. Yeah. Okay. Now, number 4, declarations of interest. Nobody? Okay. We'll move on to number 5, the adoption of the minutes from August 28th, 25. Are there any errors or omissions that anybody has seen? No comments? Okay, then we'll do 5B. We'll move on to the motion to approve the minutes as presented. So, okay, Bob will move. Seconder. Seconded by John Miller. Thank you. And all in favor? Yes. Okay, it's carried. All right. Now, number 6, there are no delegations or presentations at this meeting. So, we'll move on then to number 7. The items for discussion or the reports, the OPP statistics for the third quarter, July to September 2025 for Pickle Lake and Sioux. So that'll be done by Inspector Mike Kreitz, the detachment commander. So Mike.
Thank you,
Yes.
Chair. And good afternoon, everyone, and happy holidays. I can't believe we're almost halfway through December already. It seems like time is just flying by. Before I start into the Q3 report, I'd like to introduce our new Community Engagement Officer, Provincial Constable Graham Desjardins. So Graham's been in Sioux Lookout for about 3.5 years now. He's extremely well connected in the community. He's also media trained, and we feel like he's a perfect fit for the position. I'm very excited to have him in the role, and my hope is that we can continue to staff the position for the foreseeable future, as it's very important, not only in Sioux Lookout, but he supports the entire cluster of detachments. So I will let Graham introduce himself and provide some updates from his first month in the role.
Hey everyone, my name's Graham Desjardins. Thank you for the introduction there, Inspector. Yeah, I've been in Sioux Lookout for 3.5 years. Very excited to be in this role. It's been about a month now. So I'll be assisting with media initiatives, recruitment efforts, school outreach, community events and partnerships. I guess we'll start with the schools here. So the first thing that we did Bullying Prevention Week, which is November 17 to the 21. So we did a lot of presentations that week to the early years, as well as some later elementary students and some high school students. We've also gone out to Pelican Falls to do the same kind of presentations. I'm here to support the members in Pickle Lake also. Starting in February, we will be delivering the OPP Kids program, which is designed for the grade 6 students. That also gets delivered at Sioux Mountain and Sacred Heart every winter. As far as community outreach, things like the Senior Center, we did a very well-attended fraud presentation there, making sure everybody knows the risk of fraud and how to identify scams. We did a coffee and chat about the roundabout in Sioux Lookout to make sure everybody knows how to use that safely. We've been working closely with bylaw on some cleaning up and making sure things are safe from a fire standpoint out in Hudson. We are introducing a Cops and Kids program. Our first event will be on December 16th, and that'll be story time with an officer at the library. We're also going to do something on January 9th for National Law Enforcement Day. We've had some very successful holiday events. We did the Stuff a Cruiser at 3 locations this past Saturday. We were at Red Apple, Giant Tiger, and Fresh Market, each for 2 hours. We had the Christmas parade on Sunday, despite the the temperature. That was very well attended. And then, of course, we did the Smile Cookie campaign at Tim Hortons, which raised almost, I believe, $6,000 for the food bank, which is great. We're also working with the town on youth substance use prevention and reduction. So that's with Jennifer Esposito from the town. Talking about protective factors that we can get youth involved in, whether that's activities at school or after school, as well as education about the health risks of substance use, and that's being done in partnership with the Northwestern Health Unit. The mobile outreach team, we're engaged with the mobile outreach team to ensure we're using their services, and we're getting our vulnerable population connected to services, which reduces calls for service by both EMS and police. And then we're also doing at the high school, we're working on some material with the Ontario Students Against Impaired Driving to reduce impaired driving, especially over the holidays, which links into our Festive Ride campaign.
That's great. Thanks, Graham. Before I continue on the Q3 report, does anyone have any questions for Graham before he jumps off the call?
I just wanted to say that we at the municipality certainly appreciate the cooperation and the collaboration, both on the bylaw enforcement front and in our efforts to support young people and community safety and well-being. So it's really great to have that partnership and all that support. So thank you very much, Graham, for all your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Graham.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so moving on to the Q3 report. On page 2, you'll see our billable calls are down about 17%, and our year-to-date billable calls are down roughly 14%. So this is the third consecutive quarter where we're seeing a slight trend downward in our billable calls. And as I move through the report, I'm going to be focusing on some areas where we're seeing calls trending down and similarly where we're seeing them trending up. So moving on to page 3, our violent criminal code billing category, you will see our assaults are up slightly year to date, 194 for 2024 versus 215 in 2025. And our assault caused bodily harm and assault with weapons are also down in Q3, or they're slightly down in Q3. They remain up year to date, with 51 reported in 2024 and 64 in 2025. So alcohol consumption continues to be a major contributing factor in the majority of our violent crime in the detachment area. And while this is something we're continuing to monitor, I am pleased to report that our violent criminal code clearance rates remain high at 84.2 in 2025. Moving down the page, our sexual assaults, they are trending down slightly, with 39 reported in 2024 versus 33 in 2025. And our other threats are also trending down year to date, with 37 in 2024 and only 20 in 2025. So with respect to violent crime, we do have some more help in the cluster this year. We just started a victim specialist position, which we had tried to fill for a number of years, and we are fortunate to have a really qualified candidate who applied and was successful. They just started this month, and the role of the victim specialist is to support victims of crime right from when the crime is reported to the police until the completion of court. And there's a lot that's involved in that, and we feel like it's going to support our victims, and it's also going to help with our conviction rates. Moving on to page 4, this is our property crime billing category. Looking at the break and enters, they're continuing to trend down. Year to date, we had 33 in 2024 and only 21 in 2025. And as I reported at our Q2 meeting, no longer be in Sioux Lookout, who have been charged with break and enter in 2024. So this could potentially be contributing to the reduction that we're seeing, as they're just not in the community anymore. We're also seeing an increase in video surveillance systems, especially at private residences. And we do believe this is a deterrent, not only to break and enters, but to all property crime. And we're also seeing our mischiefs trending down. Year to date, we've only had 42, whereas in 2024, we had 72. For our shoplifting occurrences, we are seeing a slight increase. In 2024. We had 20, and in 2025, we're sitting at 32. I did take a closer look at these occurrences and noticed that they're trending up slightly at Fresh Market. I have spoken with the store owner who was extremely receptive, and he advised he's monitoring the situation and he's working with his staff to develop strategies to reduce the number of thefts reported to police. And we're looking forward to working with them to also reduce these calls. Looking at page 5, the other criminal code category, looking at bail violations, they are down slightly in Q3, but they're still up year to date. We've had 172 in 2024, and we're sitting at 193 in 2025. And I've spoken about our offender management and apprehension program at prior meetings this year. We continue to have a member maintaining this program, and part of their role is coordinating for the officers to conduct compliance checks on offenders who are out in the community to ensure they're abiding by the release conditions. So when you have more checks on offenders, it can result in more charges because the lack of compliance is being identified by officers. So that in part could be why we're seeing an increase in these charges. Our disturb the peace calls are up slightly in Q3, but they're continuing to trend down overall. There's only been 116 in 2025, and we saw 142 this time last year. Moving on to page 7, our drug billing category for drug trafficking. Our occurrences are very similar to last year. You may have seen in the media recently, there was a large drug seizure made at the Sioux Airport. A large quantity of drugs were seized, and a male from Sioux was arrested and charged with 2 counts of possession of drugs for the purpose of trafficking. We continue to have our community street crime officer position filled, and I can say their main focus is disrupting the illegal trade of drugs in our detachment area. And they've been making a lot of inroads in this area and are continuing to develop and identify sources and intelligence. On page 8, that is our operational 1 billing category. You will see that our assist public calls continue to trend down. We're sitting at 681 for 2025, and this time last year we were at 858. So that is the area we're seeing the greatest reduction in total billable calls. It's a reduction of 177 from last year. I have commented on this at prior meetings this year, but the assist public category, it's complicated. It's a bit of a catch-all, and it's often used when the officers have little to no response. So I have a couple of examples here just to continue to highlight what is categorized here and why these calls, the call numbers are so high. So in one instance, a community member came to their work and they found they had forgotten their keys, so they couldn't get into the office, and they phoned the police hoping that we could let them in the building, but obviously we could not. Another call was a front desk worker at a local establishment had someone trying to access a hotel room, but they weren't registered to the room, and they needed to retrieve belongings, and they wanted a police officer to come and escort that individual into the room. And as I've discussed at prior meetings, a very common assist public that we get is hospital staff phoning the officers to report that a patient left the hospital without receiving proper treatment, and asking that the officers basically bring the individual back to the hospital. So they're typically not high priority calls, and they are something that private security teams can often deal with. And we're continuing to meet with our private security teams at the hospital, with the municipality, the LCBO. There's a number across town, and they're continuing to report. They're making progress and a lot of successes. So I do believe that the success of our security teams is why we're seeing a downward trend in some of these categories, including assist public. Moving on to page 9, that's our operational 2 billing category. You will see our false alarms are continuing to trend down. They were a bit of an issue last year, and particularly at our courthouse. And I have met with the courthouse manager, and I'm happy to report that the calls there in particular are trending down. In 2024, there were 35 false alarm calls at our local courthouse in Sioux Lookout, and only 23 so far in 2025. So that's a 41% reduction. And we really appreciate the work of the court manager and court staff on helping to reduce these calls. Moving on to page 10, our statutes and acts category. Our Mental Health Act threat of suicide calls are trending up in 2025 versus 2024. We continue to have our CMHA crisis response worker working out of our detachment. It's a program that we're happy to have. We would like to see it expanded in the future, but currently that position is doing a good job working with individuals in our community and connecting them to mental health supports that we have available here. We're continuing to monitor the situation with our mental health calls to work to get them down. You'll also see in statutes and acts, our Trespass to Property Act calls are trending down. We've only had 81 in 2025, whereas in 2024 we had 155. And one of the likely contributors to this decline is property owners and security officers, taking on these calls and asking individuals to leave without involving the police and individuals leaving on their own. Moving on to page 17, which includes our clearance rates. So our clearance rates for violent crime, as I mentioned, is 84.2%. And our clearance rates for property crime is sitting at 58.7% in Sioux Lookout. These are numbers that we're proud of, and I think they're the result of a lot of good police work and also quick response times. And we've had an example recently where community members in Sioux Lookout reported a male attempting to enter homes and vehicles. And as a result of officers arriving on scene extremely quickly, they were able to actually locate the male committing a break and enter, and were able to arrest him at the scene and charge him accordingly. Moving on to page 19, you'll see our total youth charges in Sioux Lookout are continuing to trend down, and they have been over the past 3 years, with 79 youth charges in 2023, 75 in 2024, and 11 in 2025. And I did look into this. I couldn't identify any one particular reason, but I do know that the youth in our community receive a lot of support from the schools and the tribal education councils, and I would attribute that support in part to helping to keep youth motivated, engaged, and out of trouble. On page 21, you will see we haven't had any fatal overdoses, drug overdoses in Sioux Lookout in 2025, and we've had 11 non-fatal drug overdoses, which is 4 less than 2024. And on page 22, you will see our referrals to victim services so far this year are up with 821. And I anticipate that having that victim specialist position is going to further increase our engagement with victim services and our overall support to our victims here in Sioux Lookout. And finally, on page 23, you will see our foot patrol hours in the municipality of Sioux Lookout are up 23% in 2025 versus 2024. And when I started this position at the beginning of 2025, that was one of my goals, to increase our foot patrol and our overall officer visibility in the community. And I'm pleased to see that our foot patrol is up, and that is going to be a continued priority for me and the members here in 2026. So that is the Sioux Lookout report. Those are the areas that I felt were important to report on this quarter, but I'm open to any questions or any areas where someone would like to see any clarification. And if not, I can move on to the Pickle Lake report. So for Pickle Lake, I have a few community updates. We've recently started our Fun with Cops program, which I was really pleased to see the members take on there and bring back. It's going to be at Corlancia School, and members are scheduling days after school where they're playing dodgeball and volleyball with the students there. It's been really well received in the past. The members are continuing to attend Corlancia almost every day to help with their breakfast program. So that's preparing food for the kids who are involved in the program and staying there and having breakfast with them. And it's these interactions with the police that I feel like are going to be very important in our recruiting efforts moving forward. It's children seeing the police and having positive interactions with them. So I'm really happy to see that's in place too, and it's something that the officers themselves say is a highlight of their shifts, being there with the kids and seeing them eat breakfast. So we're going to continue with that as well. We recently hosted a Stuff a Cruiser event in Pick Lake as well. It happened last week, which was successful. And we're also going to have a float at the December 20th Christmas parade in Pick Lake. I know the members are quite excited about participating in that. And then we're also in the initial planning stages of the 2026 OPP Cops and Kids Ice Fishing Derby in Pickle Lake. So that's going to be running again as well. Something that's been very well attended in Pickle Lake. And I attend every year, so I'm looking forward to getting up there for that. And finally, our 2026 Winter Road Safety Campaign is just about underway. It starts in early January. And again, the focus of that is educating community members in Pickle Lake and the far north on how to travel the winter roads safely, and also looking at CMV enforcement and ensuring that our commercial motor vehicles are being operated safely for community members, and to ensure that the roads aren't damaged, because we have had issues in recent years where accidents are causing those critical winter roads to become damaged, and that interrupts the flow of needed supplies into the communities during that really short season. So moving on to the report itself, looking at page 2, the billing summary report, the calls are down 13% so far this year, our billable calls, and it's a 30% increase in our billable calls in Pickle Lake, and an 11% increase in our weighted hours. And again, as we work through the report, I'm going to highlight areas where our calls are trending up. So looking at the next page, our violent criminal code billing category, the numbers are very similar between Q3 2024 and 2025. The vast majority of violent calls in Pickle Lake are involving individuals who are known to each other. So they're not random acts of violence where people, don't know who the attacker is or who the violent individual is. These are individuals that are known to each other. And again, alcohol continues to be a driving factor in the majority of our violent calls in Pickle Lake as well. We did see an increase in assault with a weapon and assault caused bodily harm cases in Q1 and Q2, but Q3 appears to be even with 2024. There's been a slight increase in sexual assault calls in Pickle Lake, currently sitting at 7. I did look into them more. 5 of those calls have already been cleared by charge. In one instance, the victim requested no further action by the police, and one's currently under investigation. So while there is an increase as a result of good police work and really brave victims who are willing to step up and participate in these investigations, which are very difficult, these cases are being solved. Moving on to page 4, there was one arson in Pickle Lake this quarter. It was a structure fire to a TP type structure on Sewage Plant Road. That was located on town property, and it has been solved, and the individual has been arrested and charged already. Our break and enters in Pickle Lake, are continuing to trend down. There was only one in Q3. It was into a residence on Lakeview Crescent, and because of some quick police work, that was solved, and an individual has been arrested and charged with that break and enter. And with respect to mischiefs, they are up slightly, both Q3 and on the year. And I did conduct a review of all 10 mischiefs that we've had in Pickle Lake, and the majority of them have been committed inside residences involving people who are known to each other. So in one instance, someone became upset and they kicked a hole in the drywall of the residence. So that is encouraging that the majority of them are not happening. They're not random acts, people breaking windows and such, causing damage to vehicles. Many of them are happening inside people's residences. Moving on to page 5, which is the other criminal code category. Our bail violations are also up slightly in Pickle Lake, with 23 in 2024 and 29 so far in 2025. And again, our OMAP coordinator here in Sioux Lookout is also responsible for ensuring compliance checks in Pickle Lake. And I know the members that there have been diligent with checking offenders in the community. So that does sometimes result in an increase in charges. But generally they're fairly consistent with our 2024 numbers. Moving on to page 7, which is our drug category, specifically drug trafficking. We did have one charge Q3 and just 1 year to date. So this involved officers locating a male who was highly intoxicated, and he had a large quantity of drugs, which included MDMA. And that community member has been charged for trafficking of a controlled substance. So looking at page 8, I noted that our animal bear complaints were unfortunately up again. I was pleased to report when they were going down. In speaking with the officers, they believe some of the cause is how garbage is being stored, particularly on Lakeview Crescent. So next year, I'd like to work with the township on educating community members on properly storing garbage, and we feel strongly that that's going to have an impact on the bear calls. Looking at our assist public calls in Pickle Lake, they're also down. We had 81 year to date in 2024 and only 58 so far in 2025. And again, that's a catch-all for Pickle Lake, and I couldn't really identify any particular reason why they're down, but they are down slightly. And then lastly on this page, our domestic disturbances in Pickle Lake, they are up only slightly during Q3, but on the year they're up. They're 50 versus in 2024 we only had 26 in Pickle Lake. I have looked into this previously, and many of the calls are the same individuals having multiple calls. So this is something that the victim specialist position in Sioux Lookout, their position also supports Pickle Lake. So we're going to engage them and continue to connect those individuals, those victims with support services and look to stabilize their position. Because often when you can find someone somewhere else to live or work to stabilize the relationship, you're going to see a decrease in those calls. Moving on to page 10, that's our statutes and acts category. You'll see that our threat of suicide calls in Pickle Lake are trending up, both on the quarter. We've had 10 in quarter 3, and we have had 28 on the year. In one of these instances, a suicidal person ran out onto thin ice in Pickle Lake. The officers responded very quickly. They developed a plan where they used ropes for safety, and the officers actually went out onto the thin ice and were able to retrieve that individual and bring them safely back to shore and then transport them to the clinic and save them. So, that was a phenomenal, example of the work that's being done up there. And our CMHA crisis response worker in Sioux Lookout, as I've reported earlier, part of their job is to support Pickle Lake. So they are working to connect these individuals with resources. Really, the work that the officers are doing too in the schools, working with youth and making them feel comfortable with police, though that work goes a long way, in helping people's mental health as well, and more programming in the community, such as Fun with Cops. We want to see that. I know that the officers are going to, there's a basketball night too, and a volleyball night. And we found that just, more meaningful activities in the community, that goes a long way to supporting people's mental health. So I'm happy to see officers are participating in those events. Moving on to page 12, you'll see our overall criminal code charges this quarter were down 20.6%, but year to date they are up slightly, 12.2%, and that reflects the increase in calls that I've been reporting on. Moving on to page 17, that's our clearance rates. So for Pickle Lake, our violent crime clearance rate is currently sitting at 93.2%, and our property crime clearance rate is sitting at 63.6%. So those are high on a provincial level, and that reflects some of the good work that the officers are doing, interviewing people, checking video surveillance, and solving some of these crimes. So I'm pleased to report on that. Moving on to page 19, that's our youth charges. You'll see that they are up slightly for 2025. In 2023, we had 12 in Pickle Lake. 2024, we had 5 youth charges, and in 2024, was 5. 2025, we're sitting at 13. And again, this is where I feel like those positive police interactions with youth, with the Fun with Cops, OPP ice fishing, that goes a long way. So if anybody has any ideas where the officers can get involved with more programming, I know they're all for it. The group up there really wants to get involved in the community. So I feel like any interactions they can have positively with the youth do help with their involvement with the police, and should help to decrease their charges. Looking at page 20, that's our Mental Health Act occurrences. Our Mental Health Act calls overall are up slightly. From 2024, we had 57. In 2025, we're sitting at 55. Flipping the page to page 21, our overdose occurrences. I am pleased to report that in 2025, we haven't had any fatal drug overdoses in Pickle Lake. And in 2025, we've only had 1 non-fatal drug overdose. And that's the same as in 2024. Moving on to page 22, which is our referrals to victim services. So we're continuing to see an increase. We're sitting at 230 referrals to victim services this year. And again, the idea is engaging victim services whenever we can to help support people in crisis, people who are finding themselves to be victimized, and looking to get them some programming, stabilize their situation, and get them out of the cycle that they're in. Moving on to flipping the page, we're on 22, moving on to 23, our daily activity reporting. So I just like to highlight the foot patrol again. It's up significantly. In 2024, our officers logged 44.25 hours of foot patrol in Pickle Lake. This year, we're sitting at 115.75 hours of foot patrol. So again, that's something that's really important to me. in all of our communities. And it's something that we're going to be looking to increase even further in 2026 with the officers being visible in the community, being out at the school, being around the Northern store, and having positive interactions with community members. And those are the areas that I wanted to highlight for Pickle Lake. But if anyone has any questions or would like me to elaborate on any other areas, I would be happy to do so. And if not, that's it for my Q3 report. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Yeah, it sounds good overall to me. So I don't see anything out of anything. The numbers, I mean, are looking really good, and you're doing really good work. And it sounds like you're doing a lot of community engagement, and I like the idea that you have with the youth up in Pickle Lake. I think that's great.
Thank you, Chair.
Good. And anybody else have any comments, questions? No. Okay. Thank you very much. And I guess we'll move on now to 7B, staff report 2026 meeting schedule. So Brian, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Here we are this time of year. We'd like to set the schedule for the upcoming year so everyone can plan for those dates, at least for the regular meetings. Just a reminder, the legislation that governs the OPP Detachment Board does require at least 4 regular meetings a year. So following the schedule that was adopted in 2024, we're recommending meetings for February 26th, May 28th, August 27th, and November 26th. These would all be at 2 p.m. Sioux Lookout time, which and of course, as always, meeting dates can be changed if need be. There may also be the need for special meetings throughout the year, depending on the board's activities and initiatives, so they can be scheduled as well as needed. So happy to entertain any questions or to see if anyone has any concerns with the proposed schedule.
No, and 4 meetings a year. Yeah, it sounds good.
Right. We could, so I do have a motion for the board's consideration that the 2026 Sioux Lookout OPP Detachment Board meetings be held virtually on the following dates and times and for the purposes generally set out below. Thursday, February 26, 2026, regular meeting or possibly a training session at 2 p.m. Central. Thursday, May 28th, 2026, to finalize the annual report at 2 p.m. Central. Thursday, August 27th, 2026, regular meeting and to start the 2027 estimate budget review process at 2 p.m. Central. And Thursday, November 26th, 2026, regular meeting at 2 p.m. Central. And further, that meeting dates may be changed with a majority vote of the board. So we're just looking for a mover and seconder, Madam Chair.
Yeah, mover. Ira will move. Seconder. John, yeah. Okay, and all in favor? Fine with me. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So there you have it for the next year. And 7C, staff report regarding the rules, procedures, revisions, and about the virtual meetings. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. So we've just sort of, in looking at how the meetings have been held and how things are going, this essentially is just to kind of go back to the original rule and procedure that we had where all the meetings will be held virtually with the option of holding them in person or having everyone in Sioux Lookout gather in one person room in in one room in person, and then having the folks in Pickle. So that those would sort of be the exceptions to the rule, but they can be accommodated. So essentially, what's being proposed is that we just return the rule and procedure back to its original, which is that for the majority of meetings, they will be held in a hybrid format. Or a virtual format, pardon me, which is what we've been doing all along. The specific recommendation reads the Sioux Lookout OPP Detachment Board, 1, approves the revision of the board's rule and procedure governing virtual meetings to remove the requirement that it hold hybrid meetings and that it returns to holding fully virtual meetings. 2, retains the right to hold hybrid meetings or in-person meetings at any time, subject to a motion of the board approved by a 2/3 majority vote and proper notice. And 3, the rule and procedure relating to how meetings are held be amended accordingly. Any discussion? Oh, Madam Chair, you're muted.
No, that sounds good. Yeah. All good.
Great. Could we have a mover and seconder?
Okay, we'll move the virtual meetings. Yeah. So Bob will be the mover and Kyra seconder. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then we'll go on to the 7D staff report again, rules procedures. The new rules procedures regarding the board role responsibilities, detachment commander, and recruitment and hiring.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. So this is one of our new rules and procedures, again, required under the Community Safety and Policing Act. So just a really quick overview. So it's important to know that the board is involved in the recruitment and hiring of the detachment commander. However, it's not the lead. The process is led by the OPP, obviously, as the employer. But the board does have a role to play, as set out in the proposed rule and procedure, which is based on the applicable sections of the Act. So this is being brought before the board today for its consideration. Essentially, for the most part, the rule and procedure just says that we will support the OPP in its recruitment and hiring process, and that the board would engage in that process when requested by the OPP. It provides some options with respect to the scope, whether the whole board will be involved or whether it would be a committee or a subcommittee of the board. So that's essentially the highlights of that. But I'm happy to take any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the proposed rule and procedure.
I have no questions.
Great. So a motion I have for the board then reads that the Sioux Lookout OPP Detachment Board approves the new rule and procedure regarding the recruitment and hiring of a detachment commander as presented at the December 11th, 2025 board meeting.
Okay.
Have a mover and seconder.
Mover again. Kyra moves and John will second. Okay. All right, now it's 7E.
Yeah, sorry. Could we just have a call on the vote? Thank you.
Again, keep forgetting that.
It's okay.
Yeah, all in favor, yeah. Okay,
Great.
7E, staff report, the 2026 draft detachment board budget.
Yes, so thank you, Madam Chair. I also, as I've been speaking to these reports, I just want to acknowledge again with thanks all of Mary's assistance in helping with pulling all of this together. I get to speak to them, but Mary often does a lot of the heavy lifting. So I really appreciate all of her efforts in that regard. So thank you, Mary, as always. This year, the draft budget has been put together. It's very similar in many respects to the 2025 budget, with a few notable changes. We felt it's important to include the required remuneration for the provincial appointee. Although we don't have one yet, we could get one at any point. And so the way that would work is the $2,000 a year honorarium that's paid to the non-elected officials who serve on the board would also be paid to the provincial appointee, which is required under the Act. If they started partway through the year, they would receive a prorated amount of that $2,000 in 2026. That wasn't something we had budgeted for last year, but we didn't get an appointee, so it really didn't matter. But it's better to be prepared than to be short on funds, is our recommendation. Other areas, membership fees have increased, and that's just a result of how we're covering the membership with the OAPSB and the zone membership as well. So they're rolled up into one bundle now, and we've estimated the cost at about $2,000. We do have notes for the budget as well. I'm not going to read them all. I just wanted to highlight some of the major changes. And then the sort of the other more significant revision, I guess, is with respect to a discussion that we would like to have with the board with regard to staff support. We've sort of been tracking the amount of time that's required to support the work of the board. And so there's a proposal for the board's consideration, essentially based on 1 day a week of support for the board. So that wouldn't be one specific employee. That would be spread among the various staff who are providing support, myself, our executive assistant and board secretary, and Mary's time as our special advisor. So we tried to come up with something reasonable based on what we have been seeing. And so the specific notes on that are in the budget notes. Essentially, the total would for 1 day a week we picked a wage of $35 an hour, would work out to about $18,345 for the year. That amount, of course, would be split between Sioux Lookout and Pickle Lake, as all budget costs are. And so that, I believe, represents the majority of the significant changes in the budget year over year. So happy to take any questions or engage in dialogue with the board on the draft budget. Oh, you're muted, Madam Chair. Sorry.
I didn't click it hard enough. No, I have no questions with regard to the budget.
Okay. So of course the next step in the process, if the estimates are adopted by by the board, then the respective municipalities would then come to the councils of the respective municipalities for their consideration and approval. And that would be done likely in, I would guess, at the January respective council meetings in Sioux Lookout and Pickle Lake. I mean, ultimately, the board puts together what it believes is required and necessary, and then the respective councils have to review that, consider that, and make their final decisions. So we do have a motion in this regard that the Sioux Lookout OPP Detachment Board recommends to the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Sioux Lookout and the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Pickle Lake that the 2026 Sioux Lookout OPP Detachment Board budget be approved. We would need a mover and second.
John moves and Kyra second.
And
Both hands, all in favor? Yeah. Yep.
thank you. And you know what? I made a boo-boo. I realized that on our virtual meeting motion, we did have a mover and seconder, but we forgot to call the question. So let me just, if I may, Madam Chair, hop back there for a sec. The mover was Bob, and Kyra was the seconder, and that was just about the rules and procedures that will continue to meet virtually. If we could just call the question on that one, that would be great.
Yep. All in favor? Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you. Sorry, I missed that earlier.
Yeah.
All right.
And then next, we have the 7F OPP 2024 annual report, the executive summary, and that's not what it means for your detachment board. Discussion prompts for input into local action plan. So we have the annual 2024 annual report. Any comments about the report?
Sure, Madam Chair, I just wanted to suggest that, we understand that there's a lot of information to digest in there, and we also understand that the inspector will be seeking the board's input into the local action plan, which is something that happens on a regular basis. So I would suggest for the board's consideration that we consider holding a special meeting in January to sort of go through the discussion points, and we can have a more fulsome discussion with the inspector, and he can kind of outline some of the areas of input he's looking for. If that sounds reasonable, we can certainly make those arrangements for January, just to give the board a little more time to think about it. And I know that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Inspector, but I believe that a draft of the local action plan will be coming in the next little bit.
That's correct. Yeah, it should be ready by the end of next week.
Oh, great.
So January is perfect.
Great. So that works. That satisfies your timelines as well for getting that input.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So what we will do, we will reach out to the board. So once we're provided with the draft, we will circulate that either likely at the end of next week or very, very early the following week. And then that'll give folks, and at the same time, we'll propose some possible dates and times for a meeting in January. And then that'll give folks some time over the holidays to, I know I will be riveted, and I will be reading it over the holidays. That's how I plan to spend my time. I'm sure everyone else will be equally excited to review it over the holidays or in early January, maybe. And then we'll set up a meeting for some point in January to have that discussion that the inspector will hopefully facilitate. That would be great.
All right. Okay, so On 7G now, we'll move on to notes from Bob Rasmussen on the OAPSB Zone 1 meeting of November 13, 2025 in Thunder Bay. So,
Okay, yeah, I was had the privilege of being able to attend this meeting in November. There were speakers from across Ontario and Minnesota. Believe it or not, Minnesota, there was a sheriff that came up from Minnesota and gave his maybe an overview of his county and how they police it. And my family's from Minnesota, so it was kind of interesting to listen to him. But basically those speakers provided updates and reports on their respective departments as well as training sessions, which while much of the information presented didn't directly relate to our board, I found some valuable insights, and these are just basic some highlights of the notes. One of the first speakers was Chief Brian. I'm going to crucify his name here, but Matt Calope. He's the chief superintendent of the regional commander for the Ontario province, the OPP in the northwestern region. But he basically acknowledged the crucial roles of the service boards in supporting law enforcement and maintaining public safety. He highlighted the concerning rise of violent domestic crimes across northwestern Ontario. And I think we all can relate to this with alcohol being the primary contributor factor. And he also emphasized the importance of following up on individuals on bail conditions, not only to ensure compliance, but also to help those be successful in their parole. So, that's important. I think, we want to see people be successful in continue on without continue to be in jail, I guess you could say. He concluded with a question, what should we be concerned about? And he said increase impaired driving. I know Pickle Lake does an awful lot of, or I shouldn't say a lot, but they do police or road checks and stuff, and I appreciate that. Um, Domestic violence, why is this happening? And I don't know if this really pertains to Pickle Lake. I'm not sure about Sioux Lookout, but street gangs and the need for more intelligence to help identify these gangs. I'm not sure if there's any gangs in Pickle Lake or not, but this is an area that he was concerned with. Another man was a superintendent. He's the RC with the RCMP, Rob Lawson. Um, he gave a report on the Cadbury bus crash in 2023, which I found was kind of interesting. I believe it happened in June of that year. It was a bus transporting people from a retirement home was struck by a transport, resulting in the tragic loss of 15 lives. And his whole presentation was basically on communication, the importance of it. And he was the lead investigator in the case. And, he would, again, he emphasized the importance of effective communication and dealing with the families and the media, especially, and diffusing the situations based on hearsay. When things like that happen, oftentimes, people talk and they don't get their facts straight. And so he was saying it's important to be on top of that. The incident, talking about raised questions as he was going through his presentation. Does our board or our community, basically Pickle Lake, do we have a way of communicating with the public effectively? We don't have a radio station up here per se in that we can go to. There is, the Facebook and other means that we communicate with, but is it really effective way? And I think back, I can't remember what year it was about 5 years ago when we had that fire in Pickle Lake. We were threatened with a fire, and there really wasn't any effective way to communicate with people, what's going on and how, what we should be doing. So anyway, that just brought some questions to mind. Elisa Darling, who is the executive director of OAPSB, spoke, and she mentioned there will be a change in the name from Ontario Association of Police Service Boards to Police Governing Boards. And she said basically because they're covering more than just detachment boards, they're covering the whole, all police boards, and so they're changing the name. So in the future, you won't see OAPSB, you'll see PGO, which is a little easier to say. She also mentioned that in the website Lincoln, I think I pronounced that right. There's a lot of information. They have they have a page there which has a lot of good information for detachment boards. One of the last speakers was Staff Sergeant Carl Duell, and talking about the pardon project that he begun, or it's called the OPP Pardon Project. And when he when I first saw this, and I'm thinking, what's this going to be about? It was like, is the OPP going to start getting soft on crime or whatever? But really, basically, all it is helping people. The program assists individuals in applying for a pardon for their criminal record. And he said it began back when he was trying to find guards for the detachments, especially in the northern communities. One of the requirements is, you can't have a criminal background on your record. And so he was trying to find a way to help people and assist in individuals applying for a pardon. And I guess the process is quite difficult. Inspector, you can kind of correct me if I'm saying something wrong here, but or add to it. But I was kind of intrigued with the program for a couple reasons. Back in the military, when I was young and stupid, I got in trouble, and I had a first sergeant that helped me get some things off my record that could have affected my military career and also my discharge. So I understand what it means for people to help, and I appreciate that. And then I also believe it's a good way to reach out to the community and show that the OPP is just not here to arrest you. They're also there to help. And so I was kind of intrigued with it. I talked to Inspector Kreis, and we're looking at possibly bringing it up to Pickle Lake sometime next year. So but that was basically my report. I know there's a lot of other speakers, but this is something these are the ones that kind of stuck out in my mind. So that's it. So any questions or?
I can just add, Bob, that we are already planning that pardon project for Pickle Lake and Mishkegogumang in January or February of 2026. So it's something we've had success with, in some of our other communities in the cluster, North Caribou Lake and KI. So you're absolutely right. People make mistakes early in their lives, and we don't want to see it burden them as they move through their lives, and especially now when we need employees in all sectors in Northwest Region, and we need people to, if they can, get rid of these criminal records and get employment and move on with their lives. So I appreciate you highlighting that, Bob, and we're excited to get it going up there.
Good.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bob, for presenting on the Zone 1 meeting of November. Okay. Now we'll move on to number 8. It says correspondence, 8A, Inspector General of Policing Memo number 7, release of the Inspectorate of Policing's risk-based compliance and enforcement framework. Is there anybody who can comment on this or?
Sure. I'll take a stab at it. The Inspector General of Policing will continue to issue memos relating to the work of the inspectorate and its role in the policing continuum, if you will. So this is essentially just another communique from that agency. So we like to ensure that board members are receiving this information as it comes in. So we'll continue to provide it. If there are specific questions about any of these memos, staff would be happy to look into providing more detail if there's a desire for that. But for now, these are simply informational matters, and we're happy to do more research if the board so if the board so wishes. There we go.
All right, thank you, Brian. 8B, the second one is the email from Transfer Payment Ontario to the Silicon CAO of August 19, 2025, acknowledging receipt of the application for RIDE, Reduced Impairment Driving Everywhere program funding for 25 to 29. So,
Yes. So
yeah.
this is just an acknowledgement that the application had gone in for the RIDE program for the next number of years, and we hope it will be successful and that it will be funded again. It's certainly an important tool, I think, and a great way to raise awareness and to address some of those potential impaired driving situations. So, Inspector Kreitz, I'm not sure if you have anything else to add.
For the RIDE grant funding, it was approved this week. It doesn't flow through the municipality anymore, is my understanding. The OPP is able to go direct through and build that way, or yeah.
Great.
So it is approved, and we're excited about it. And yeah, we're already making a plan to utilize it and to get the officers out there. So you should be seeing more rides shortly.
Awesome. Great news. Thank you very much. That's all I have on that one.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian. And it's good to hear that the funding will be coming through. So, okay, great work. Okay, so that's about it for this meeting, unless anybody has any comments or anything more to add. No? Okay. Number 9, then the next meeting date will be Thursday, February 26th, the year 2026 at 2 p.m. and virtually. So that'll be the next meeting. And then number 10, motion to
and we will reach out. Sorry, Madam Chair. We will also reach out to squeeze in that special meeting in January to provide the input on the local action plan. Sorry, I just wanted to now that you've agreed to do that, I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that we'll reach out once we get the draft. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, number 10, motion to adjourn. So mover, Bob, seconder. I'll second. Okay. All right. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a great New Year and everything, and holidays with your families, and we'll see you again in the new year. Yeah.
Okay, Merry Christmas.
Thanks, everybody.
Merry
Take
Christmas.
care. All the best.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.